I am clearly the most talented kid in my generation. But not only I was disliked by my village, but my parents also tried to stop my training in favor of my siblings. I decide to cut ties and go on my way. Now they regret it and want me back. Things were normal in the Land of Fire and in the Hidden Leaf Village. Civilians were either heading to work or taking their children to school, the soon-to-be ninja were attending the academy, while the shinobi were either on missions or patrolling the village rooftops. But, despite all of this, 3 people were not in the same happy mood as the rest of the village. In fact, they, the Namikaze family, were all feeling the same emotions: regret, sadness, and self-loathing. In the main building of Kanaha's cage, one Minato Namikaze was busy doing what all cages hate the most: paperwork. But, by the look on his face, he clearly didn't care about the paperwork or how it multiplied tenfold. He stopped after stamping denied on a civilian council member's request to cut money from the academy curriculum and put it into funding a shopping mall, like they really need one, and glanced at a photo on his desk that made him feel completely depressed. It was a photo of his family, with his wife Kushina, and their 2 twin children, Uzuki, who looked just like her mother, except her red hair was shorter than Kushina's. It had the spiky end to it and her bangs resemble something a bit like Minato. Her eyes were almost indigo. She wore a black V-neck top with short sleeves. Under that, a fishnet long sleeve. She wore her red and black jumper on her waist over her reddish-pink skirt and fishnet leggings. Next to her was the girl's twin brother, who looked like a carbon copy of the man, same blonde spiky hair just shorter and without the bangs, same blue eyes, but had 3 whisker-like birthmarks on his cheeks. The man's eyes saddened as he saw the picture of his then 4-year-old son, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. 11 years ago, when his wife, who was the second Jinchuriki, was giving birth to the twins, a man in a mask, who claimed to be Madara Uchiha, found out where they were and took his son hostage, forcing Minato to take the children back to their home safely, leaving Kushina behind. After making sure they were safe and sound, he then headed back to rescue his wife, but was too late in preventing the masked man from releasing the Kyuubi. After bringing Kushina back to where the children were, he went off to confront the masked man and stop the Kyuubi, who by now was attacking the village. After managing and forcing the mysterious shinobi to retreat, and freeing the Kyuubi from his influence, the Yondaime Hokage then turned his focus to the Baijuyu. It was then he made one of the worst decisions that he will ever regret: sealing the Kyuubi into his son. At first, Kushina planned on dragging the Kyuubi back into her, so it could die with her. But Minato knew that it would only delay the inevitable, so he planned to sacrifice himself by using the Shikifune and give his soul and half of the Kyuubi's chakra to the Shinigami, while he would seal the rest into his son. But, instead, he was beaten to the punch, as the retired Sandaime Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, did the Shikifune, and Minato sealed the Kyuubi into Naruto by using the 8-trigram sealing style. After the attack and the funeral of all who were killed, including the old Sandaime, Minato then told the council and clan heads what happened. They were mainly surprised that Madara Uchiha was alive, and after Minato persuaded them that the Kyuubi attack was not the Uchiha clan's doing, the militant elders, Kohara Yutaten, Homura Mitakedo, and Danzo Shimura immediately backed down. When said Warhawk brought the subject of what happened to the Kyuubi, the young Kage told them what happened. He would then regret doing that. When Minato told them the details, it caused the civilian side of the Konoha Council to go into an uproar. Minato then decided to order a decree that no one was to speak of Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki to the younger generation under the age of 18. He sighed as he wished he had included the older generation as well. For the first 4 years, despite glares and a random depressed drunk villager, Minato and his family were able to have a happy life. But that soon ended when Minato decided that Naruto, who wanted to be a ninja, decided he should be a civilian and Uzuki be a shinobi, and thus began their focus on training Uzuki in the ninja arts, mainly Fuinjutsu, while Naruto was instructed to read books that had nothing to do with ninja affairs. While Kushina was not completely against this, as she did let Minato do this, but she, being the previous host of the Nine Tails, knew what Naruto needed, and so she trained with Naruto with Kenjutsu, and on his 7th birthday gave him her own sword, which was immediately taken off him and locked away along with the rest of his Kenjutsu training from this mother. It caused a wedge to be driven between Naruto and the family. Minato sighed as he wanted to punch his past self in the face for what he did. Truth was, he never wanted Naruto to become a ninja, because he feared he would be influenced by the Kyuubi's chakra, since he didn't have Kushina's chakra, when it was Uzuki who had it. Even though he, Kushina, and his sensei Jiraiya knew the seal was strong and flawless, they ignored that and kept denying Naruto to be a ninja. Jiraiya then accused him of playing favorites with Uzuki, which he denied, and thus Jiraiya learned why he focused more on Uzuki than Naruto. Uzuki was being trained so that she suppressed the Kyuubi's chakra in Naruto before it could influence him. In other words, Uzuki was to be Naruto's jailer. How could I have been such a complete fool, he asked himself. Then came the incident where his daughter and son got into an argument that revealed Naruto's Jinchuriki status to the younger generation. A week before that, he made Uzuki swear she wouldn't tell any of the other children her brother's secret. Apparently, Naruto said something that caused her to blurt it out in the open where a good 15 children heard what she said. The word soon spread like wildfire to the other children, and the rest of the children understood their parents' dislike toward the Hokage's son and began to act the same way. Minato had never been so pissed in his life when he yelled at his daughter afterward, and grounded her before sending her to her room. Kushina and Minato decide to go a step further and get Uzuki to chain Naruto and the Kyubai's chakra in the already enforced seal after they found out the Kyubai had a talk to Naruto. For a whole month Naruto was quiet and wouldn't let anyone touch him, especially Uzuki. Minato and Kushina believed that he was scared of her after what she did. A month later, Naruto was gone. It turned out that Naruto had had enough, and waited a whole month before running away. Minato, Kushina, and even Uzuki, who wanted to apologize to him, became distraught and guilt-ridden after that, knowing it was no one's fault but theirs. That was 2 years ago. The closest they had ever gotten to him was a year ago when word from Suna got to Konoha about the siblings of the Kazekage meeting a blue-eyed, blonde-haired child who was around the same age as them. But when he sent Forumbu to bring his back, only one came back explaining an incident that belonged in the history of the Third Shinobi War. It was after that they found out he had stolen Kushina's sword that same night he ran. Ever since Jiraiya has been hunting him. It has been almost a whole year now since Minato had last heard from him. He then breathed a sorrowful sigh, wishing he could take back everything he did to Naruto. He chose the wants of the village over the needs of his son, and he did it without thinking. Naruto, I'm so sorry, were his thoughts as he felt his heart break more. Before he could think more, a poof of smoke got his attention as a toad summons appeared. Yo Minato-sama. Jiraiya-sama sent me to give a message to you, the summons said, before giving the Yondaime Hokage the scroll. The Hokage wiped his eyes of the tears, before accepting the scroll. Thanks, he said softly, and opened the scroll from his sensei. He winced, knowing he didn't heed Jiraiya's advice when it came to Naruto. As he read the scroll his eyes widened at what was written. Found Naruto. I'll be at the village tomorrow at noon. I'll take him to your home. Don't tell anyone, not even Kushina and Uzuki. Jiraiya Minato felt like he was having a cruel dream, so he pinched himself to make sure. It's not a dream, he said, this is real. Of course, it has been 2 years since he last saw Naruto, and he no doubt knew that his son hated him with a passion. He just knew that he and the girls had a lot of making up with their estranged family member, which was going to be tough. But he was just glad his son was safe and was coming home. The next day Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze sighed as she sat in the living room with her friends. It had been 2 years since her son Naruto ran away from Konoha. When he disappeared, Kushina went into a depression knowing why he left. Even though she disagreed with Minato that Naruto will be better off as a civilian than a shinobi, she tried to be there for him, even to go as far as to tech him self-defense when he came home constantly with bruises, gashes and sometimes even broken bones. It was then while training him that she learnt that he was a faster learner than his sister when it came to the shinobi arts. One day Kushina came home to find Uzuki reading Naruto's books and Naruto doing Uzuki Academy homework. Kushina also found that he had a knack for kenjutsu. It was on his 7th birthday that she decided to give him her sword. But Minato had freaked out and locked the sword away and confronted her about what should happen when the Nine Tails took control and used this information. After that she had stopped to kenjutsu lessons and tried to help him with his civilian studies, but Naruto became resentful. He kept it hidden and it was painful for Kushina to watch. Kushina could tell he kept a lot of his thoughts hidden. He struggled and hated the cavalier tasks and assignments mainly because they ended up with him being beaten by shop owners, which caused him to beg for his parents to let him drop out. Both Kushina and Minato saw all this and did their best to help him, but he just grew to be hateful and threatening. He threatened the villages who angered him, and the Nine Tails used this to get to Naruto. He would let loose his killer intent. They believed that the Nine Tails was slowly taking him over. It was thanks to both Kushina and Uzuki that they restrained the Nine Tails. Kushina can still remember Naruto's screams as she implanted him with her chakra. Both Minato and Jiraiya had to hold him down as Kushina and Uzuki chained the Nine Tails. Minato had to erase the memory from both Naruto and Uzuki. It was a horrible night for Kushina and Minato. Jiraiya couldn't stand it and told Minato that Naruto will kill him one day, with or without the Nine Tails. After that both Minato and Kushina tried to give as much time and attention to Naruto, but of course, it was too late. The damage was already done, and eventually leading to his escape, after a fight with his twin sister Uzuki. Kushina had cried herself to sleep for days, knowing it was her fault. She didn't even come out of the master bedroom for 3 weeks, until Tsunade and Mikato managed to get her out of her depression, telling her she can't stay like this forever. Uzuki still needed her now more than ever. Speaking of Uzuki, her daughter changed ever since her brother ran away. She became more focused in her ninja training, and became spiteful to most of the village, especially the other children who still saw Naruto as the Kyuubi and a freak. She grew her hair out and usually kept it in a side plait. Needless to say, it reminded the older redhead of her academy days when she was picked on by the other academy students. The now 11-year-old Uzuki had a wild temper along with her soft calm side that she rarely showed nowadays. She had to suppress a chuckle at that. Uzuki had indeed inherited her wicked temper, just like Naruto. She sighed, knowing that her son hated her and his father for what they had done to him, held in Konoha like a prisoner, and Uzuki the warden. She and Minato admitted they made a mistake and promised if they ever find Naruto, they will treat him like how real parents treat their children. There was then a knock at the door, prompting Kushina to stand up and walk over to answer it. When she opened the door, she surprised to see her husband's teacher, Jiraiya of the Sunin. She noticed he had a brown sack over his shoulder that had something in it. "Hey Kushina," the white-haired pervert said jovially, "nice to see you're looking as beautiful as ever." Kushina had to suppress a groan at that. "Hello, Jiraiya. Minato's not home at the moment, but he should be back later," she said as she welcomed in, while Jiraiya shrugged. "That's okay," he said, as he walked into the living room and saw 4 women who he recognized as Yoshino Nara, Mikado Uchiha, Samin Yazuka, and his fellow Sunin, Tsunade. And he gulped when he received narrowed eyes from the group of females. "Geesh, talk about a warm welcome," he thought to himself and gave a nervous smile. "What's up, ladies? Enjoying ourselves, aren't we?" he said, and the women gave unfriendly smiles, as they knew about the Toad Senin's reputation as a pervert. "Oh, we have Jiraiya," she said, and took notice of the brown sack over the Senin's shoulder. "What's in the sack?" Jiraiya blinked, before remembering the bag he had. "Oh, right," he said and walked over to the coffee table in the living room. He then took the sack and dumped what was in it, or rather someone. The person was a young boy, aged 11 at most, dressed like a shinobi, wearing black cargo pants, a black hooded jacket, and black ninja sandals, with black tape around the heels, hands, and mouth. He had blonde hair and had 3 whisker-like marks on his cheeks. The women were completely surprised by this, but none more so than Kushina, who instantly recognized him as her missing son, as he looked in her direction, as unshedded tears formed in her eyes. "Naruto?" said boy's eyes flutter open, then widening, realizing where he was, his face contorted with fear and rage. His breathing increased as if he were a cornered animal. His hands were bounded behind his back as he sat up and used his feet to push him as far as possible from her, but to find Jiraiya he glared at them both. Kushina began to move cautiously toward her son. The same son who had ran away 2 years ago, because of her and her husband's paranoia. As soon as she got close enough, she knelt down to look into the blue eyes of her child, which were filled with apprehension, loneliness, caution, fear, and rage. "Naruto, is it really you?" she said as she extended her hand to touch his face. This resulted in Naruto in flinching away from her. "Damn," he yelled through the tape on his mouth. He still attempted to get away from her, only for the desperate mother to stop him by placing her hands on his shoulders. "Naruto, stop," she said, as Naruto began to struggle, only for her to wrap him in an embrace as tears escaped from her eyes, as well as Naruto's. "Please, listen to me. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for my part in denying your freedom. I'm sorry for all the pain you had to go through alone. I'm sorry for not being a real mother to you. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry," she said as she began to cry. "Ah," he shouted again, muffled by the tape as he continued to struggle. "Naruto, please," she said as she continued to hold him. "Let me go," he shouted, itching to get away, clearly ignoring her cries, as he continued to struggle. But then his world went black as Jiraiya tapped a few pressure points on his neck, and went limp in his mother's arms, who was clearly distraught by her son's harsh state. "Kushina," said Mikato as she placed a hand on her best friend's shoulder, who continued to hold the out-cold Jinchuriki in her arms. Jiraiya sighed sadly as he looked at the scene in front of him. He knew this would happen, and it would get worse as soon as Minato and Uzuki come home. "Jiraiya, what the hell is going on?" said Tsunade as she gave her teammate a seriously confused look. She knew about Naruto running away from home, but she believed it was a disagreement between him and his parents. But the young blonde's fit exclaimed otherwise. Minato and Kushina made a huge mistake, and Naruto had had enough and ran away. "He's been out there for 2 years, and now that freedom he had has come to an end," the Toad Sage said, as he continued to look as Mikado continued to try and comfort the mother of the prodigal son. With Minato had just entered the house after leaving his shadow clone behind at the Hokage Tower, so he could see sun. As he entered the front gate, he noticed the atmosphere had turned to a more depressing aura than he remembered. Heading to the living room, he saw Jiraiya sitting down alone on the sofa, his arms crossed, his eyes closed, and his facial expression neutral. The other women who were visiting Kushina left not too long ago. "Sensei?" Minato said, and Jiraiya nodded, before opening his eyes. "Nice to see you too, Minato," he said, his voice serious as he motioned for the Yondaime Hokage to sit down. "Where's Naruto?" Minato asked carefully, while the Toad Son inside and up with his thumb. "Kushina took him upstairs to his room about half an hour ago," he said. "She's been in there with him since, as well as using locking seals on his door and window to keep anyone from getting in, and Naruto from getting out." He then sighed, as he remembered Naruto's outburst. Naruto freaked out when he saw her, had to knock him back out. Mind you, he probably would have passed out anyway. Kushina kept trying to convince that she was really sorry about her past decisions, but he was just not in the right state of mind. Minato sighed at that. Kushina, aside from Uzuki, was the one person who was hit the hardest when Naruto ran away, and kept blaming herself for failing him. How she should have been more supportive of him. Yeah, the blonde-haired man said as a sorrowful smile formed on his face. It just proves she loved our children more than I did, he said. I forced Uzuki to become a ninja so she could keep a better eye on Naruto, while I forced Naruto to the side and forbid him to learn anything ninja related. He then sighed, I had been such a complete blockhead. Having forced him to live a civilian life, working a civilian job when I knew that any civilian shopkeeper or any other business would shut their business down over letting him work for them. And I tossed that thinking out the window. Jiraiya sighed at that. Yeah, you really screwed up, he said, as Minato became more crestfallen. But at least you realized you made a mistake, and want to make it up to him. Minato looked at his sensei before down at his hands. Yeah, but will he let me? I haven't exactly been the supportive father type after he turned 4. I have a long way to go before I could even gain his forgiveness, let alone his trust, he said and felt a hand on his shoulder. Every journey begins with a single step, Jiraiya said, and then smiled. You just have to figure out step 1. The writer of Ika Ika then stood up and stretched as he headed to the door. Now, if you excuse me, I got to do some much needed research, he said with a small, but perverted, smirk, leaving behind a sweat-dropping Minato. He'll never change, he thought, before Jiraiya stopped, a look of realization on his face. Oh, before I forget, the Sunin said before taking something from his sage coat and giving it to Minato, who instantly recognized it as a chakra knife. Naruto had that on him when I found him. He's pretty damn good with it. If the hunter nins I saw him slaughter are any indication, Minato was shocked at that. He slaughtered hunter nins? Jiraiya nodded at that. Yep. I'll give you the full details tomorrow. See ya. And after that he left, leaving a stunned Minato. Minato had been thinking on those words that Jiraiya told him ever since he left. He knew what his first step would be. Starting in a week he'll enroll Naruto in the Ninja Academy, in the same graduating class as his sister. Speaking of which, said girl suddenly entered through the front door. I'm home, said Uzuki and entered the living room and saw her father sitting on the couch. Oh, hi dad, you're home early, she said cheerily, unaware of the tension and nerves her father was showing. Minato smiled as he looked at his daughter. She wore a fishnet long-sleeve shirt under a tight red top with pink stripes on her waist and shoulders, and tight shorts that matched her shirt. To finish the look she had her red and black jumper tied around her waist and fishnet elbow guards. She had her mid-back length hair in a messy side plait, and her chin-length bangs held back with pink clips. Hey Uzuki, how was school? He asked. The redhead rolled her eyes and dropped down onto the couch dramatically, sighing as she replied. Boring. Irika-sensei was giving another lecture. The only interesting thing that happened today was when the arrogant Uchiha and the mutt got into a pointless fight, and I think Kiba has a crush on me. She let out another dramatic sigh before continuing. I will never know. Oh, and Hinata is still asking about Naruto, she said. Minato sighed. Hinata was always asking about Naruto. They were good friends in the past. They were the only friend that each other had. Well, Hinata had her little sister Hanabi and Naruto sometimes had Uzuki, but outside the family they were all each other had. This thought made Minato feel worse. No wonder Naruto had left. Was there anything that Naruto had in Konoha? Oh right, I forgot. I may have gotten into another fight. Uzuki, Minato said with warning in his voice. It was only a small fight, and the academy is all about fighting anyway. I got into a verbal fight with that crazy fangirl of the Uchiha. She was saying that one day her Suzuki-kun will find Naruto and get rid of him for good to protect her and all of Konoha. Why did you have to inherit your mother's temper? Minato said, realizing he would have to sign more papers. To be fair, so did Naruto, Uzuki said in her know-it-all voice. Not to that extent, Minato mumbled under his breath. Hey, speaking of mom, where is she? She asked, and Minato felt conflicted on how much to tell her. Should I tell her? She's been wanting to apologize to Naruto for 2 years, he thought, but if Naruto's reaction to Kushina is anything like how Jiraiya described, he probably won't be able to cope. Dad? Uzuki's voice snapped the yondaime out of his thoughts, as said girl was looking at him in confusion. What's wrong? Minato, after thinking about it, decided it's a risk she would be willing to take, sighed in defeat. Uzuki, before we go and see your mother there is something you need to know, he said. Panic immediately spread across her face from the tone of her father's voice. She nodded and taking a seat next to her father. What I'm about to tell you, you must promise to keep to yourself, unless I say otherwise. Do you understand? Uzuki, after her mistake 2 years ago she made a vow to herself to never tell secrets ever again. She nodded as Minato continued. We found your brother. With Kushina sat in a chair beside her son's bed, watching his unconscious body beside her. He wasn't asleep, you could tell he wasn't, he had a pained expression on his face, she could see it more clearly now with the tape gone. She ran her fingers through his blonde hair gently. She realized he kept his hair shorter than he had 2 years ago, but it still had the same soft silky feel to it. Tears streamed from her eyes. Seeing her son again like this felt like kuni to her heart. She moved closer and held him, the same way she held him and his sister the terrible night, 12 years ago. She was relieved that they were safe from the man who caused this whole mess from the start. Now it was just her and Naruto, and under different circumstances. Naruto, she whispered, I'm sorry. As she held him, she heard her daughter's voice downstairs. She then chuckled softly as she heard her little tornado getting herself into another fight. She then frowned as Kushina knew that the twin siblings' reunion will no doubt be like the one she and Naruto had. Naruto is home, came the loud shout that scared even Kushina as Naruto jolted awake, only to find himself in the arms of his mother, which caused him to tense up and his eyes to widen in panic. The red-hot habanero felt her son's body tense up and turned to see him awake. Naruto, she began to speak, only for the young blonde to begin to struggle. Naruto, don't. Please calm down. I'm not going to hurt you. Naruto didn't listen as he continued to struggle more urgently now, while Kushina just wrapped her arms around him. No, 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 was all he said as he thrashed wildly in his mother's arms. Let me go. Let me go. I have to get away from here. Please let me go. Kushina could only hold him tighter as he continued to thrash, trying to get free. Naruto, please stop. I don't want to hurt you, she said. How do I know you're not lying? You and he never wanted me to be a ninja. You let your fear of the Kyuubi control your decisions just like the rest of the village. You wanted me to be a prisoner in my own home, with my sister as my jailer, he yelled out, just before doing something that Kushina didn't expect him to. He bit down on her arm, hard enough to make it bleed. Kushina winced, but didn't let go of him as she held him tight, tears cascading down from her eyes like a waterfall. I know, she said, her voice taking a tone filled with regret. I admit we didn't let you have any choice, because of our worst fears. In fact, you have every right to hate me, your father, but please don't hate Uzuki. She was under our orders. You can hate me all you want, but it won't change the fact that I still love you. I wished every month, every week, every day, every hour, every minute, and every second since you ran away I could reverse time and change my mistakes, she then sobbed, as she felt Naruto's fang teeth sink deeper into her shoulder. But I know it's impossible. And the best way I know, I had plenty of chances to make it up to you over to fix everything I had done. As she finished, she felt the pressure from the bite beginning to lessen, until it stopped altogether. She then heard Naruto sobbing as he placed his face into her shoulder. I don't hate you, but I can't trust you, he started. How do you expect to regain my trust, after all I've been through? Kushina hugged her son as she answered, I don't know how. But I will make it up to you, I promise. Outside the room, Minato and Uzuki had heard Naruto's yelling and came up to find what was going on, were listening with their ears to the door, unable to get in due to the locking seal Kushina put up. The two heard what Kushina had said and both could only agree with her. Uzuki was shedding tears as she heard her mother talking to her brother, while Minato had a guilty look on his face. They both knew that the three of them had a long way to go to earn Naruto's trust back, but they swore they will do everything in their power to help him, no matter the cost. Minato slowly started to knock on the door. Kushina, we need to start making dinner, it's starting to get late, Minato said, hoping to see his son. Both him and Uzuki heard loud noises from behind the door like no I won't and a few thuds and eventually let me go. I knew I couldn't trust you. That voice was clearly Naruto's, but what could have happened? Kushina came out of the room, her eyes red and her face wet and a deep bite mark on her arm. You can go in now, and I will go and make something for dinner. Just be careful, and with that she left. Minato and Uzuki walked inside to see Naruto tied down on the bed with chains on his ankles and wrists. He was struggling against them in an attempt to get free. Let me go, he screamed at them. Uzuki couldn't contain herself, first the mention of her brother at school, then her dad telling her he was home, to the sound of his voice, and now seeing him after 2 years. He was finally home. She ran at him before Minato could stop her. She embraced Naruto into a rib-breaking hug. Uzuki was so overjoyed she didn't notice Naruto's screams for her to get off him or his icy blue glare with slits for pupils. But Minato noticed the hostility first. He was shocked to see his once sweet, humorous son like this, but quickly he tore Uzuki off Naruto before he did something to her. Dad, why? She exclaimed through her tears. Have a good look at him, Minato said sternly. As she looked back at her agitated twin, she noticed his eyes. She gasped. No, Naruto, what happened to you? Why? How? Are we looking at the real you? Did the Kyuubi do this to you? If so, I will make it pay. All these thoughts ran through her head. Little did she know the same questions were going through Minato's mind. Please Naruto, we just want to talk, Minato said with a calming voice. Soft blue eyes met icy blue slits. Why would I want to talk to you? Naruto screamed at Minato. Naruto, we can wait for you to calm down if you want, but we just want to talk, Minato said. And then you're going to have me in more seals and chains, Naruto growled at Minato. Minato decided to leave Naruto and help Kushina with dinner. He turned around and headed for the door. Come on Uzuki, you're not going to get anything out of him right now, Minato said as he walked out the door and down the stairs. Uzuki just stayed there staring at him. Indigo eyes now meet the icy blue slits. I'm not moving until we talk, no matter how long it takes, Uzuki says confidently. Naruto growled at her for a while, baring his fangs at her. Uzuki slowly made her way closer to Naruto and eventually she made it to the chair. The whole while Naruto's gaze never once wavered, just waiting for her to make one wrong move. For a while she just sat there staring at him and trying to understand the pain behind his eyes. He could sometimes be like a book, his eyes exploding with his life story, but other times they were a blank sheet, like the month before he ran away. He could be so secretive that he could want to strangle the living daylights out of you and you would think he wanted a hug. Now was not one of those times. Uzuki could clearly see all the pain, loneliness, rage, betrayal, guilt. Wait, guilt? What could he possibly be feeling guilty for? Did he do something in the last 2 years that he regrets? So, she started unsure in so many ways. Naruto, what was it like there? She asked with as much courage as she could muster. Naruto's face changed from rage and defensive to shocked, questioning, and calculating. The slits didn't go away but he seemed more calm. Naruto stuttered, which made Uzuki smile. He'll never change, still as awkward as ever, she thought. Where did you go? She asked. Why is that important to you? Naruto asked, his voice filled with little to no emotion. This is going to be difficult, she sighed. How about we do this? I tell you something about what's happened here while you have been away and you tell me something that's been going on in your life in the past 2 years, said Uzuki. Why would I want to know about what's going on in Konoha, yelled Naruto. Uzuki was quick to answer him. You don't have to. I just want to know what's been going on in your life. Knowing about what's been going on here is just an add-on, Uzuki still being careful of the words she uses. Fine, what do you want to know? Naruto asked Uzuki, who grinned, happy to be getting to him. Okay, where have you been? She asked eagerly. Hidden Waterfall, Land of Earth, IWA, Hidden Grass, Hidden Rain, Land of Wind, Suna, Land of Rivers, Land of Waves, a few small villages in the Land of Fire, and now here, all in that order, Naruto said bluntly. Uzuki just stared at him, mouth gaping like a fish. Wait, did he say IWA? But how they hate us and Dad even more. Oh, I can't even imagine the kind of adventures he has been on. He has got to tell me. How has he been to so many places when it's only been 2 years? Wait, Suna? So the rumors about him being there were true? What? Was all she could muster. Hidden Waterfall, Land of Earth, IWA, Hidden no, not what I meant, sorry. She paused for a second, taking all in. She knew her brother had been out there and seen a lot, but while you went to all those places, really? What were they like? Did you make friends? Did you learn cool jutsu? OMG, this is so cool and convenient. I have a school project on the hidden grass. You could help. Uzuki quickly stopped, looking at her twin's shocked face that changed quite suddenly. Naruto paused for a second before answering. Yes, they were all different, sort of, yes in a way, and sure, Naruto said, uncertain and slightly worried that she would ask more questions. She blinked at him rapidly. That's so cool, you just have to tell me about all those places when we get the chance. Oh, right, your turn. What do you want to know? She asks at the ready for any question. Naruto starts, seemingly a lot calmer now that Uzuki had stopped and was calmer herself. When they were young they could sometimes read each other's emotions and, as they aged, the emotions became contagious between them. Everyone thought it was a twin thing, whereas Minato and Kushina thought it had something to do with the connection to the Kyuubi and Uzuki. Did you make friends over the time I was gone? He asked hesitantly. Uzuki's eyes widened and a familiar smile appeared on her face. Yep, well, first me, Ino and Sakura broke up. The two of them fell in love with your rival Sasuke and started despising your very existence. Naruto winced at this. Sakura had always been a bit like that, considering her parents were both civilians. But hearing this, she must have taken it to a whole new level. But what surprised him most was Ino, her father, was close to Minato and her family treated him as an equal, but to hear Ino doing that, it kind of hurt, but he had to laugh. Sasuke, really? Sure, he had looks, according to Uzuki when they were little, but really? Fangirls? Man, Naruto will use this next time he sees him. Wait, no, I won't see him because I am leaving this hell hole and everyone in it, and Hinata got all quiet and shy, and without you I didn't really have anything to, tell her about, and she rubbed her arm nervously, unable to look Naruto in the eyes. Naruto and Hinata were the best of friends when they were young. Hinata's father was hesitant at first but soon came to accept it, consider he had an effect on her. Also his heritage and status helped win him over. Uzuki used to tease them about how they completed each other. At this Naruto gave her his icy glare. She came over to me during lunch breaks to ask about you, but every time I have told her that there was still nothing. Even when there was something, I just didn't want to get her hopes up for her to just plummet into depression. I feel really guilty, I should have told her, she said, rubbing her arm and shrinking down at her brother's gaze. Uzuki may be older, but Naruto always was the one that was seen as the big brother in a way. Continuing hesitantly under his brother's gaze, there were 2 new students that joined. One was an orphan named Tsuki Hideaka. She has turquoise hair, she keeps it in a bun and her fringe is clipped back on one side, has red-brown eyes. She is always wearing green or blue. Oh, she also has an owl summoning, she has earth affinity, but she is still learning the basic Doton Jutsu. She was originally from the Hidden Waterfall village. She recently moved here with her adopted family. She has two younger brothers, both adopted too. Rio and Rika, they are actually brothers. Rio is 8 and Riku is 5, both have brown hair but only Rio has green eyes. Riku has brown. At her old village she knew of another Jinchuriki. She seemed neutral about Jinishuriki though. She doesn't know the hidden waterfall Jinishuriki, but she saw her on multiple occasions. She had mint hair and orange eyes. Fu Naruto exclaimed happily. Uzuki seemed shocked at this new information. Wait, you know her? Of course they would know each other. Naruto went to the hidden waterfall, and he is a Jinchuriki. I wonder if he knows any others? Uzuki wondered to herself. Uzuki? Naruto calls out. Oh right. Hey, do you remember Konohamaru? Uzuki asked to keep the conversation flowing instead of endless small talk. The crazy kid with the scarf? Asked Naruto. Yeah, Lord Third's grand kid. We have been looking after him a lot. When he's not with his uncle Asuma, he is here with Mum. It's helped keep her distracted, said Uzuki. A grim look appeared on Naruto's face. So you have already replaced me, good to know, red mixing with the blue of his eyes. Wait, I don't care. They can adopt whoever they like. I don't care. What? No, it's just Asuma can't look after Konohamaru all the time. Asuma is a ninja, he may have the money from Lord Third's will, but he still wants to be out on the field. In fact, I heard from Dad that he will be put in charge of one of the teams from my class, said Uzuki. Oh, was all Naruto said. Downstairs, Kushina, you okay? That wound looks bad, said Minato coming to her side. I deserve it, she said, keeping her eyes on the stove. Minato's eyes narrow in concern. No, if anyone deserves anything it's me. I set all this in motion. I should have listened to you. Naruto didn't deserve the burden of the demon, Minato said, grabbing some spices from one of the shelves. Kushina let out a long strained sigh. Oh, Minato, what are we going to do? By the time we gain his trust back, he will have moved out. Or have replaced you as Hokage, Kushina says, a smirk growing which was soon mirrored by Minato. Who knows, the kid might just give me a run for my hat. He paused for a second, his smile turning serious. Jiraiya told me how he had been tailing him for a week, and watched him from afar as he slaughtered 12 IWHNN. Jiraiya said that it wasn't the screams and the blood-soaked ground that made him shiver but the very method that Naruto had used to kill them. Minato stopped, unable to continue, but Kushina had already understood. The Kyuubi, Kushina whispered like she was talking about a ghost. Minato nodded. There is something else you should know, Minato said with hesitation. Kushina asked, giving him her full attention. Minato took a deep breath. The only reason Jiraiya was able to safely get him home was because he was already exhausted from fighting off some hunter nins from the hidden mist who had the assistance of 2 of their umbu. According to Jiraiya, Naruto had collapsed in the fight. He had slain all but the umbu. He had wounded one but only slightly. As they went to grab him, it was then that Jiraiya noticed that they wanted him alive. Jiraiya then decided to follow him, and doing what he does best, he soon found out something quite interesting. Naruto had earned himself a nickname. Jiraiya was quite unsettled when he heard the reasons behind the name. One of the umbu let slip that Naruto had earned the nickname the Red Flash. At this, Kushina gasped, already dreading the reasoning behind the name. According to Jiraiya, he had been all over the hidden villages, and seen by more than one bystander. He was soon identified as my son. As soon as this got out, he had hunter nins on this tail 24/7. He was soon faced with a choice, kill or be killed. Sadly, the Kyuubi chose for him. By the time had come to his senses, he was covered from head to toe in blood and surrounded by bodies. And so he ran, like any sane person would. I've been told he has never stayed in the same place more than a month or two. Whenever he was seen, it was always fleeing and covered in the blood of the Kyuubi's latest victims. Witnesses have seen his blood-red eyes, red chakra, and the mass murder and froze. When he is seen, it is only brief, but it's enough for people to quiver at his gaze. Minato finished. The awkward silence was met with the sound of Naruto and Uzuki's somehow calm voices echoing down the stairs. It was unnerving to think that the very same person that had murdered hundreds was once there. Sweat like a boy who would plot pranks with Anko, oversleep, play ninja with the younger generation, confuse Konoha's greatest strategists in shogi, compete in eating contests with the Akimichis, and mislead the Konoha umbu into playful games. Both Minato and Kushina had to calm themselves before calling out to the twins that dinner was ready. Upstairs, dinner's ready, yelled Kushina's voice from somewhere downstairs. Naruto looked away quickly, staring at the locked and sealed window. Naruto, do you know? Naruto quickly interrupted. Please, you don't have to say anything. Just come and eat. Please? Uzuki pleaded. They will want to talk, Naruto said. I will make sure that it's a quiet dinner. You just have to be there. And Mum did say she was going to make your favorite, ramen. I didn't ask her to, and I doubt that it's my favorite anymore. Come on, you won't know until you try. Please. Naruto didn't answer. Come on, Uzuki, said a voice from the door. Naruto stiffened. Come on, Naruto, you must be at least a little hungry? Asks Uzuki. Naruto just stayed quiet. You can come up later to bring him some, says Minato from the door. Uzuki seemed to have gotten the hidden message, that Minato wanted to talk to Naruto alone. Okay, with that Uzuki left taking one quick glance back at Naruto before heading down the stairs. Minato slowly slipped into the vacant chair next to the bed Naruto was tied down in. Minato quickly eyed the knots around Naruto's wrists, chest, waist, legs and feet, but also noticing most of Naruto's wounds had closed up and barely left any signs of injury. Most of Naruto's black cloths were torn or covered in dried blood, but there was one thing noticeable on his left shoulder going across his back, a large burn mark in the shape of a slice from a large blade covered in acid. Minato suspected that it was from his most recent fight against the Mist Hunter Nins and Umbu. Either could have done it. Minato remembered when Naruto would yell to the whole of Konoha that orange was the best color and how he hated black, saying it was so dull and lifeless and that no one should ever wear it. He said it looked like death and smelt it too, if color could have a smell. Of course, he had no idea how to spell orange at the time. What would the old Naruto have said? Thought Minato, looking down on the still, tense Naruto. Naruto had been out in the world for 2 years, alone and surrounded by Minato's enemies. This was all his fault. If he was just the son of a civilian or even the son of a regular ninja, any normal town would have taken him in. The only reason he was pursued was because he was the son of a Kage, but not just any Kage, the Yellow Flash. He also had the Kyuubi, the strongest of the Biju, inside of him. He wouldn't even have to be out there if he just had regular parents or a good father. It was all his fault his son had to go through this. He would probably have more experience on the field than the average Chunin. Minato reached a hand towards Naruto, his mouth opening and closing, not sure what to say or where to start. What do you want? Minato's hand froze, still staring at the back of Naruto's head. What do you mean? You're my son, I love you, Minato said. Do you have someone else you can bother? Naruto asks with his back still towards him. Listen Naruto, I know you're mad, and you have every right to be, but please don't hate Uzuki. Minato says. Naruto turned over suddenly. Blue eyes meet blood red once more. What makes you think I hate her? I spent 2 years out there. I had more than enough time to think. I am not angry at her, I am sorry for her that she couldn't think for herself. Listen Naruto, Minato was cut off by knocking on the door. Minato quickly stood up. Weird, Kushina didn't tell me of any visitors. Minato took a quick check over Naruto, before walking off downstairs. At the door, Kushina was startled when there was a knock at the door and jumped a little. Kushina was quick to reach the door. Uzuki was still picking through her dinner with a melancholy look on her face. As she opened the door she was relieved to see only Asuma and Konohamaru. Hey guys, Kushina says casually. Sorry Kushina, I know it's late, but I have EB rank with Anko and I leave at 4 tomorrow. Just as Asuma said this, Minato comes down the stairs. Lord Hokage, Asuma says, straightening up startled. I thought you were working late again tonight. Decided to come home and see my family. Minato said, oh, I hope it's no trouble. It will become a problem, Uzuki says from the table. Uzuki yells. Minato, it's okay, I can ask Kurani instead. CA thought everyone looked up. What was that? Asked Asuma, bringing out a kuni. Kushina and Minato look at each other before Kushina runs upstairs, towards Naruto's room. Minato flashes past and jumps to the roof. Asuma is soon to join him, leaving Uzuki and Konohamaru on the roof. Damn it, Naruto was trapped between his mother, father, and a shocked Asuma. Naruto, don't move, Minato says firmly. Why? So you can tag me? Asks Naruto. And in a trito, came Asuma's startled voice. Naruto, what are you doing? Kushina's voice echoed from the window. Naruto glared at all of them. You tied me down and knocked me out. You must have at least seen this coming. Naruto yelled at them. Please Naruto, Kushina pleaded, enough of this. We only tied you down was because we didn't think you would stay long enough for us to properly apologize and convinced her to stay. You don't have to be on the run all the time, you can have a normal life, no more hunter nins. You can have a new life with us and you can make friends again. Your old friend miss you dearly. Kushina said, fear warping her words, terror filling her. She couldn't lose her son, not again. Naruto had frozen hearing her words. It was awful out on his own, never knowing who was an ally, spy, assassin, or hallucination. Come on Naruto, don't tell us that you are happy out there. Alone? Kushina asks. Naruto felt a drop on his hand. Was he crying? No, Rain. Yeah, I don't cry. Minato knew he had to do something. He couldn't lose Naruto again, and not like this. By now the rain had picked up quite a lot and was drenching everyone. Minato looked at Naruto. He didn't seem bothered by the rain at all. Well yeah, he has been out there for 2 years. Kushina, Asuma, go make sure Uzuki and Konohamaru are inside and dry, says Minato, not taking his eyes off Naruto. Are you sure, Lord Hokage? Asuma asked. Minato watched as Naruto twitched at the name Hokage. Yes, those are orders, says Minato. Hesitantly both Kushina and Asuma jumped off the building. A bolt lightning illuminate the rooftop. Naruto, if you could just let me make it up to you, everything could go back to the way it was supposed to be, Minato says. Naruto's hands tighten into fist, his canines lengthen into long fangs and his whiskers darken. This chakra, it's the Kyuubi. When did he? Oh, no, this will alert my Umbu and a lot of others. The way it was supposed to be? You mean me in a cage locked down 24/7? My own twin, my warden, Naruto says. Naruto, please, we realized our mistakes, we know we messed up. Just give us another chance, Minato pleaded. It was then that Minato felt someone on his right, then another on his left. Lord Hokage, the Umbu on his left wearing a kitsune mask, said in a monotone voice. Minato-sensei, the Umbu on his right, said with one eye of his Inu mask spinning red. We had a suspicion, so we came as fast as we could, Kitsune said in his monotone voice. All three adults stared straight at Naruto, who now had grown claw-like nails and was baring his teeth, and strangely enough fear in his eyes. Minato knew he had to do something. He couldn't lose Naruto again, and not like this. By now the rain had picked up quite a lot and was drenching everyone. Minato looked at Naruto. He didn't seem bothered by the rain at all. Well, yeah, he has been out there for 2 years. Kushina, Asuma, go make sure Uzuki and Konohamaru are inside and dry, says Minato, not taking his eyes off Naruto. Are you sure, Lord Hokage? Asuma asked. Minato watched as Naruto twitched at the name Hokage. Yes, those are orders, says Minato. Hesitantly, both Kushina and Asuma jumped off the building. A bolt lightning illuminate the rooftop. Naruto, if you could just let me make it up to you, everything could go back to the way it was supposed to be, Minato says. Naruto's hands tighten into fist, his canines lengthen into long fangs and his whiskers darken. This chakra, it's the Kyuubi. When did he? Oh no, this will alert my Umbu and a lot of others. The way it was supposed to be? You mean me in a cage locked down 24/7? My own twin, my warden, Naruto says. Naruto, please, we realized our mistakes, we know we messed up. Just give us another chance, Minato pleaded. It was then that Minato felt someone on his right, then another on his left. Lord Hokage, the Umbu on his left wearing a kitsune mask, said in a monotone voice. Minato-sensei, the Umbu on his right, said with one eye of his Inu mask spinning red. We had a suspicion, so we came as fast as we could, Kitsune said in his monotone voice. All three adults stared at Naruto, who now had grown claw-like nails and was baring his teeth, and strangely enough fear in his eyes. Don't engage, Naruto, if you really want to leave Konoha then do, but ask yourself, what are you looking for out there? What do you plan to accomplish on this path? Minato says. Naruto straightens up with his eyes returning to their normal blue, his claws and fangs retracting. With one leap Naruto took off onto the next building. Minato watched until Naruto was but a blur jumping towards the village gate. Minato-sensei, are you sure that was the best idea? Asks Inu. Yes. Naruto was hesitant with his choices to do with the village. Deep down he still loves this village, and some people in it. We have to have faith he will come back to us. Minato says, his eyes still drawn to the spot Naruto disappeared. Well, hope you'll be able to explain this to the council without it sounding like Naruto's a criminal. The council is already prying into files containing classified information on him. Then there is Danzo to deal with anything you come up with, whether it be the truth, lies or both. He will find a way for it to benefit him, says Kitsune. Minato closes his eyes and sighs deeply, already dreading the next meeting. Things like this doesn't take long to spread, as Minato had learned quickly after he became a father. With Naruto leaped off roof after roof with only one destination in mind, the gates. With his heart racing in his mind and confusion and questions multiplying rapidly, Naruto didn't realize the followers he had until the last minute. As he sensed their chakra, he turned on his heel, his hand reaching for a kuni on his back. Damn, forgot they took all my weapons, Naruto thought. If I make a commotion here, no matter who it is, it will cause me trouble. The smaller villages have terrible security. It was easy to get out, even when there was a fight. IWA was a different story, but Konoha, forget freedom, I would be in a cage and never see the light of day again. It's already going to be a problem getting out. Naruto, forced to think quickly, jumps down off the roof and into a dark alley, masking his chakra. He waited in the alley until he had felt their chakra vanish to the north, towards the very gate he was trying to escape from. He quickly jumps back onto the roof of a run-down supermarket. After a few minutes of jump from building to building, Naruto spots a girl with dark blue hair being tormented by three older boys with the leaf symbol on their heads. Naruto scoffs to himself, leaf shinobi will never change. Then he remembers his childhood. Another reason to leave, but a thought stuck him. If I left her, I would be no better than these leaf scum. Oi losers, Naruto says, jumping down off the roof, surprising all four of them, the three bullies backing up. Naruto eyes their headbands. The three bullies notice his gaze and smirk, gaining their confidence. They step forward. Get lost, kid, we're in the middle of protecting the village, the one with black hair and green eyes said. Leaf shinobi, always so full of yourselves, Naruto says, rolling his eyes. The comment seems to stun the genin. What? You're not from the village? The one to the right asked, his voice shaking, mentally questioning what will become of them. No, not exactly. Naruto says the two at the back looked at each other thinking the same thing, we're screwed. Well, looks like we really will be protecting the village tonight, boys, the one at the front said, getting worried looks from his teammates. He goes through the familiar signs for Doton, Earth Bullet. But before he had the chance to say anything, Naruto kicked him square in the chest, knocking the wind right out of him. He lands against the wall a good distance away. The other two gapes at the sudden attack. Here too, Mikhail don't just stand there, alert sensei. Before dash he was cut off by a bone-breaking punch to the jaw. Oh, shut up, I have had enough people tailing me today, Naruto says, jumping off the wall, aiming a flipping kick at the dark green-haired genin, sadly missing by an inch thanks to the quick warning from his red-eyed friend. Wait, red-eyed, Sharingan. Great, and Uchiha things couldn't get any. Nope, not going to even think it. Naruto turned his gaze to the only two conscious genin. Eyes the Uchiha and the Sharingan. He leaps forward and extends his hand for a quick knockout punch. He dodges but leaving an open attack to the stomach. With a quick knee to the stomach, the Uchiha was forced down and retching. Naruto eyed the last genin. Running forward, he quickly knocked the final genin out. Leaving the three knocked out bullies, Naruto walked over to the dark-haired girl who looked to be around his age. She was terrified, but as he came closer he noticed something in her eyes, confusion. Hey, you okay? He asked, bending down to help the girl up. As Naruto helped her up, she did the weirdest thing. She huged him. Thank you, she said in his ear. It was barely a whisper. If she hadn't been clinging to him, he doubts he would have heard her. Not sure what to do, he pulls her off him. What happened? Naruto asks, looking into her lavender eyes. Well, I dash. Suddenly a voice interrupted her. Jinky, here too, Mikhail, hurry up. Patrol ended 20 minutes ago. An older male voice rang through the ally. Please, if I'm found outside the compound, Kami knows what my father will do. The girl stutters. Me too. This way. Naruto led the pale timid girl through a maze of alleyways and shady streets. All the while thoughts ran through Naruto's head. Wait, why am I doing this? I just saved her from the bullies. Isn't that enough? Why do I want to help her? She is from the Leaf. I have no reason to trust her. Who knows, she could have put something on me when she hugged me. It wasn't long before Naruto led the two to an awfully familiar playground. He led them over to the bench. He laid his head back while she caught her breath. You okay? Naruto asks. She doesn't say anything, but nods her head. Her breathing still a little uneven. Why? She whispers. Naruto asks, confused. Why help me? I'm just a dead weight. She says timidly, I couldn't just stand by. He says, you said you're not from the village? She questions, well, I was just leaving. I had some family here that wanted to talk to me. Who are they? Maybe I know them, she asks, not knowing of the thoughts running through Naruto's head. I am sure you would. My dad's quite well known. Naruto says, wait, did I just call him my dad? Say my father is well feared, she says. A look of sadness rushes over her. What's wrong? Naruto asks, catching the look in her eyes that said pain. I'm not exactly what my father visioned as a daughter. I am looked down on among my family. Well, what's left of my family? It's quite clear they all prefer my s. The main reason I'm out here, I have a complicated life. Same, replies Naruto. My father even went so far as to replace me as clan heir, she said, continuing on from where Naruto interrupted her. Wait, clan heir? Oh no, what will happen if the Umbu or clan guards find me with her? I have already caused enough commotion tonight. I have to leave, now. He was already standing when something she said caught him off guard. It all started going downhill when my best friend ran 2 years ago. Naruto froze. What? Was all he could say. Oh, I'm sorry, what am I saying? She quickly got up and walked past him, muttering, I'm so sorry for the trouble I have caused you tonight. But I have to get back to the Hyuga compound. It was then that it clicked. Those eyes, that hair, that stutter, that love and respect for her family and clan. Hinata? She froze. The wind sudden picked up and the rain stopped, with the dark rain clouds still blocking the light of the moon. The only thing as a source of light was the flickering on the faulty lamp between them. She turned back around to meet a warm, familiar sensation. Naruto didn't know what came over him. He has had nothing but fear and rage on his mind. For over 2 years his other emotions locked deep within him, but seeing her again shattered more than just the emotions he had locked away. Giving control over to these emotions caused him to do the last thing he would have imagined he would. He hugged her and cried. I have missed you, Naruto said through his tears. And Naruto? She asked, tears wheeling up in her own eyes. A moment of silence passes before she tightens her grip on him. I have missed you too, she says through her unshed tears. Unknown to the two reunited friends, Umbu pulled out a large dark green tube. Lifting it to his masked mouth, he blew out, sending a small needle containing green liquid into the night, landing swiftly into the skin on the back on Naruto's neck. Ugh, the sound Naruto made and the twitching of his body told Hinata something was wrong. Naruto-kun? Naruto was quick to whisper the few words he could before he slumped in her arms. Not being used to the heaviness, the weight brought her to her knees. With his limp form in her arms, she was quick to turn her Byakugan on. Seeing the outlines of a masked nin did not surprise her, at least not as much as the other surprises she had experienced tonight. Who are you? What do you want? He was fast for Hinata. Everything went black before she could react, being only an academy student. Back at the Namikaze house, saying Kushina was mad was an understatement. She was always mad. The ki was intense and it was all directly aimed at Minato. If it was anyone else they would have fainted, but Minato held it firm, only showing slight layer of sweat. The spectators watching the couple were watching with nervous curiosity. Minato, why? You just let him go. Jiraiya spent months looking for him and you just let him go. If you were just going to let him go in the first place, why go through all this trouble? Why tease us like this? Why Minato? Why? Kushina yelled. Minato was quick to reply. Because he needs to come back on his own accords, Minato says, trying to reassure his fuming wife. Then why get Jiraiya to bring him here in the first place? Asked Kakashi, holding his Inu mask in one hand and a glass of water in the other. The couple turned to the two unmasked Umbu, Asuma, sleeping Konohamaru, and a fidgety Uzuki. I needed to see him and plant the necessary seeds into his head. He was already hesitant to begin with. He is entering the age where he is questioning who he is and what is going to do with his life. With the seeds planted now, he will continue to think back on them. He left when he was 9, when he was young. He wasn't thinking. Fear was clouding both his mind and judgment. I know that personally fear can lead to irrational actions. If he were to stay out there for a few more years, he would no doubt start thinking about what next. From there are many different paths. One of them would include coming back to Konoha, but there are many more as well. Also, who knows what kind of control the Kyuubi could have gained in that time. The mental stress he has probably gotten to him over the years. The Kyuubi isn't dumb, it has probably pulled a few strings already. Jiraiya has already looked over the seal. There are quite a few cracks. A few gasps and worried looks were given at his, but Minato continued with a deep breath. Not noticing deceased in the storm outside, but nothing I can't fix. It is not something that needs to be addressed seriously just yet. It will be a few more years before anything major happens to with the seal. Minato finishes. So is there anything you need us to do? Hokage-sama, says a rather uncomfortable unmasked Kitsune. No thank you, Ataki. I think the only thing we should worry about should be the inevitable meeting about Naruto. You can head home now. I know you probably don't feel comfortable and a little out of place without your mask. Thank you, Hokage-sama. With that he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Turning to the final Umbu, Minato changes the topic. So Kakashi, how's that little rascal of your going? I heard she did a Naruto on the two of you the other day. Minato says with a smirk. Kakashi flushes with embarrassment, letting out an embarrassed laugh. Oh come on, it wasn't that bad. Kakashi tries to defend himself. Wait, what happened to Obina? Asks Suzuki, recalling the 1-year-old with gray hair and big brown eyes. She remembered only a few months earlier had Naruto ran. She would be turning 2 in a few weeks, 14 of April. A week ago Kakashi was late for a meeting. Minato paused later than usual. And when he finally showed up he was covered from head to toe in flour. Minato paused again to see the embarrassed look Kakashi was giving with 3/4 of his face covered. It was then that the rain started to pick up again, but heavier than before, that the fourth Hokage felt something come over him that told him something was wrong. His thoughts raced, all coming to one conclusion: something was going on and Naruto had something to do with it. It was then that there was a knock on the door. Minato walked over to the door, feeling the eyes of everyone in the room. He opened it, startled by whom the visitor was. Hinata? What are you doing here at this hour? A feeling of dread washed over him as he noticed the bruises along her skin. Huff, huff, it's Naruto. At this Kakashi was back in the mask and beside Minato in a flash. Minato's face was showing a mix of emotions: fear, concern and nervous. What happened? Minato asks, getting Hinata in and out of the rain and leading her to the couch. Kushina quickly grabbing a towel for her and wrapping it around her. Okay, what happened? Where is Naruto? Well, I was outside the compound because I needed to get away from my clan. I lost track of the time and it started to rain. I got lost. I found a patrol of Genin. I tried to ask them which way was towards the compound, but it turns out one of them was an Uchiha and his friend was aware of the rivalry between our clans. And well, then the usual happened and I was alone, so one of my guard were there. But when I was about to black out, Naruto jumped off one of the buildings. He scared them and knocked them out, but then their sensei came looking for them. Naruto got me out of there. At the time neither one of us knew who each other were. We then talked on a bench near the old park we used to play at. I think I said something that told him who I was, because the next minute his arms were around me. But then all of a sudden he was hit by something and he slumped unconscious in my arms. He was able to whisper to me to come to you. He told me you would be able to help me come up with an excuse as to why I was out so late to my father. I was knocked out by a masked shinobi. When I awoke, Naruto was gone and all traces to. Hinata finished through her stutters and chatters. Minato was startled. Why? Then it hit him. Root, Kakashi, we're going to a meeting. Kushina, can you dash? Minato was cut off by Uzuki, who had heard everything, and a snoring Konohamaru. Is Naruto okay? Is Hinata okay? Uzuki asked, concern covering her face. Minato turned to Kushina. Don't worry, I can handle 3 kids. You boys go have your meeting. You too, Asuma-chan, Kushina said, teasing them, causing all 3 to sweet drop. Underground hideout. Cold. That was the first thing Naruto registered. It was cold and hard, but only on his left side for some reason. Ugh. Naruto opened his eyes to a blinding light. Dash? Once Naruto's eyes adjusted to the light, he found his eyes landing on an old man with a cane and bandages over most of his body. He was reading a book, but quickly noticed Naruto's consciousness. Naruto tried to stand but soon realized that both his feet and wrists were bound. Also, all of his chakra was sealed off. Naruto, welcome back, was all he said before two masked shinobi Naruto knew as Umbu showed up and grabbed him by his restraints and dragged him into the hallway. It was then that Naruto realized that his clothes had been changed. Instead of his black blood and hole-covered shirt, pants, jacket and sandals, he had on the leaf-style black-taped pants, sandals that went past his ankles, a normal tight black short-sleeve shirt and fingerless combat clothes. It disturbed him to think of how they had gotten it on him. Thoughts ran through his head quickly, trying to figure out what had happened to him. Besides the change his clothes, what else had they done to him while he was unconscious? Were there new seals? If so, what kind? Loyalty? Chakra suppression? Ones that will kill you if you don't obey the user's command? And other thoughts like, was Hinata okay? Did they hurt her? Is this another one of the Hokage master plans? Eventually they reached a door. The Umbu that wasn't holding him nicked his thumb and ran it over the door. It instantly opened up. Inside it was a dark room, no windows, only two chairs. The Umbu was quick to set him down in one of the chairs, chaining his legs and arms to the chair. Naruto didn't have to wait long before an Umbu with light blood hair showed up. A Yamanaka? Oh no, they're going to go into my head. Ah, the fox, they wouldn't risk it. He slipped into the chair across from Naruto. He wasted no time in starting the process. Forming a few hand signs, Naruto's vision became blurred. It wasn't long before a familiar building came into focus. There on the top of the Namekaze Uzumaki house was a boy too older than 9 with the familiar blonde locks bellowing in the wind. He had with him a blood-red sword and a focused gaze. His face, it was one Naruto remembered well as the pain and rage beneath it. These were his memories, and this night was one that plagued him to this day. There was no doubt, this was the day he ran from the Hidden Leaf Village, his home. What in Kami's name is going on here? Naruto yelled to no one in particular. The younger Naruto jumped off the roof just as the scene changed. He was outside Konoha, he could tell from the trees and the path. He soon spotted his younger self talking to an old man, a merchant, by the look of his cart. The older Naruto quickly remembered this man. A shiver was quick to enter his spine. He remembered this man well. He was quick to jump forward. Don't do it, don't trust him, he yells, but the younger version of himself, and the old man didn't even flinch. He ran up to the two, but before he could get close he was yanked back by the same blonde Umbu as before. I would suggest against it. Unless you would like to damage your memories, he says in a deep monotone voice. Naruto striated up and swallowed his uncertainty to the situation. Sure kid, where you headed? The old man said with a kind smile. Just outside the border is okay, the young Naruto says. Oh, we got a little explorer here, hop in the cart, the old man said, patting a hand on the young Naruto's head. The older Naruto and blonde Umbu watched as the scene changed again, this time with the old man and Naruto talking about the 5 great nations. You sure know a lot, old man. Well yeah, I'm a merchant, I've seen a lot. The old man pauses. Hey, did you know that the hidden mist makes the best smoked squid and seaweed sticks? Cool, what about Konoha? What's your favorite? Their minds Ichiraku ramen, nothing is better. Well, maybe Mum's homemade cooking. Naruto says the last part under his breath. All of a sudden the cart came to a halt. What's wrong, old man? Slowly 6 red-clothed shinobi appears out of the bushes and trees surrounding the cart, pulling out kuni, senbons and other sharp weapons. That him? One of them asked. The young Naruto looked confused. Who were these ninja? Yup, the one and only son to the yellow flash. As the old man said this, Naruto's face went white. What? Naruto asks, not believing his ears. His fear and anger slowly starting to surface, much like it did on the streets of Konoha. Instead of answering Naruto's confusion, the old man shoved Naruto over to the shinobi, who were quick to grab him and hold him down. Naruto kicked and squirmed against the older shinobi, but with no luck. Okay, I got the kid now, where is my pay? The old man demanded in a way that didn't suit the old man. At least know the one that Naruto had traveled with, the smiling, frail, teasing old geezer. A female shinobi with a grin plastered on her face threw a bag at the old man, none too gentle. The old man caught it though. Looking in the bag, he smiled and his eyes filled with something Naruto knew as greed. With a satisfied look he nodded to the red-covered shinobi. Make sure to thank that such a kid for me. It was lovely doing business with you. If there was any emotion that Naruto felt, it was betrayed. It was a feeling he was not accustomed to, not even in Konoha. Sure, people pretended to be his friend either to get something from the Hokage, or just to stay on his good side. It was painful, not like the physical damage the civilians and occasional shinobi would do to him back in Konoha. It was worse, it was a pain that went deeper than any blade or senbon. It was the old man's voice that brought him out of his thoughts. Sorry kid, but that's business for you. Here's a tip, you will always be on death's door if you trust every old man you come across. Thanks for the tip, old man, said a voice that did not belong to Naruto. It was the female shinobi that had tossed the bag to him. In a split second there was blood on the dirt road and barely a core left. Naruto felt something warm run down his cheek. At first he believed it to be a tear, until he smelt the familiar metallic scent of blood. It wasn't just on his cheek but on his legs, chest, arms, stomach, even in his hair. The IWA shinobi enjoyed the look of horror on his face. Ah, the perks of being a ninja. They never see it coming, said the same female shinobi. A bag of explosive tags henge into money. Very creative, Mia, said a larger male. Ha, did you see the look on the kid's face? Priceless, said another, earning a few nods and smirks. A few giving Naruto a quick glance. Well, if we don't hurry up, so will our pay. Move it, yelled a bulky-looking male, obviously the jonin in charge. Wait, how can our pay be priceless? Asked the male to Naruto's left. The male next to him sighed and rolled his eyes. I said move it. The two freezing in their place at the bulky one's tone. Iwamoto-san, what about the kid? You want me to knock him out? Said the IWA shinobi holding Naruto. Nah, after that scene I doubt he will so much as twitch, said Iwamoto. The IWA shinobi took Naruto up into his arms. Still petrified, he didn't even register the movement of the IWA shinobi. It was nightfall when they decided to make camp, and Naruto had opened up a little out of his frozen state. He watched as the shinobi jumped from tree to tree. It was a little freaky, not that Shirai would admit it out loud. In a way she did feel kind of bad she hadn't lost anyone close to her when the Yellow Flash massacred a large fraction of Iwa's population, so she didn't hold anything against the kid, but she didn't care about him either. If that Tsuchikage wants him killed, then he'll be killed, and that's that. But still, after seeing the kid's traumatized face when they blew up the old man, it kind of made something twitch inside of her. Carrying the blonde steadily, Shirai landed in a clearing alongside her comrades. She let the kid down gentle, but was quick in grabbing his arm. He may still be a nervous wreck, but he could still run. Okay, Shirai watched the kid cheek him over for any of the Flash's tags or seals. Mia, make a fire pit. Atsushi set up the tents. Mamoru, Ryota, you're on first watch. We'll take watches in pairs. I want 3-hour shifts. And Ryota, fall asleep again and I will be talking to the Tsuchikage cage about having you put on babysitting, said Iwamoto-san, getting a scared look from the guy in question, and a few smirks and sneers from Mia and Atsushi, and a disappointing look from Mamoru. Poor guy, he has been put on the same team as Ryota twice now. Maybe I should ask for Iwamoto-san to lay off him. Move it, we do not have all week. Tsuchikage-sama wants the brat before Monday. Any stragglers are left behind. Iwamoto-san yells, giving her and the kid a look that said, get moving or you are dead meat. Yeah, maybe I will let Mamoru handle that on his own. As she thinks this, she feels a light pressure on her arm. She looks down to see the kid looking at her. Her eyes fall to the crusty blood on his cheek. She asks, what do you want with me? He asks, damn this kid, is he not educated? The kid should know the hate between Konoha and IWA. Instead of answering, she drags the kid over to a narrow river just a little while past the clearing. Get in, she says, none too gentle. He looks at the water, then back at her, giving her a look that said seriously. Just getting you, was throwing him in, landing on his back, but he quickly sat up. Once he got over the shock of the cold water, he glared up at her. Kid's got guts, what you want, to walk around wearing a layer of blood? His face turned white before he quickly looked away, not able to meet her gaze. Okay, so Mia didn't have to use explosive tags to kill the old geezer, or even kill him for that matter, but the kid's gotta get over it. He guy sold him out to us, how can he feel this way? After getting the blood off and checking for tags, the two headed back, Shirai half dragging him by his arm. By the time they got back to the clearing, the others had set up camp and Atsushi had started dinner for tonight. Shirai, any tags? Asked Iwamoto-san. No, none. I found it weird that the Flash wouldn't put any on his son, especially since I heard rumor that the Inoshikacho trio had them during the war. Maybe I should have a look. I'm not quite comfortable with the fact that we could all be slaughtered while we sleep by the Flash, Iwamoto-san said, reaching for the kid, who looked hesitant. Who wouldn't? The guy scares me, she thought as he grabs the kid and almost rips the shirt off him. I was given a jutsu by the Tsuchikage before we left to use on the kid if we couldn't find anything. It was originally used in the Second Shinobi War when Suna got their hands on invisible explosive tags that self-destruct when the target comes close to another chakra source, Iwamoto said, enjoying the look of horror on both their faces. His hands turned a blue chakra color as he made a few hand signals. He gently glided then over the Naruto's back. It didn't make the same buzzing sound that the medical ninja use, it was more of a chattering sound. Wait, if it's self-destruct whenever someone got close, how did they check? She said, mildly curious. He kept his eyes on Naruto's back while he answered her. They had shinobi perform it on themselves so that they could then decide what they would do, and? She asked. They had a choice, cut it out or die, he said casually. This scared both her and the Naruto. You're not going to do that to me, are you? Naruto said, fear clear in his voice. If we have to, he said with a smirk. Naruto froze as Iwamoto turned him around and bringing his hands to Naruto's chest. As his hands came down to Naruto's abdomen, a large seal started to show. What in Kami's name is this? Iwamoto yelled, looking at the seal on Naruto's abdomen. Shirai was just as shocked. What the hell was this? There were rumors of the Yellow Flash being a seal master, but this was crazy. A seal like this would need a hell of a look of talent, and what the hell is it doing on this Brett? The other IWA shinobi came running hearing their commander's shouts. Being quick, Shirai pulled Naruto back and pined him on his back, showing the large complex seal to the 6 dumbstruck IWA shinobi. While all this commotion was going on, Naruto was having an internal freak out. What is going on? I have never seen that seal before. Does this have anything to do with the Kyuubi? What did Dad do to me? Is it going to kill me? How do I get it off? He thought his heart rate was rising even faster at the mention of cutting it out. Oi kid, what's the seal for? Said Iwamoto kneeling by his head. Naruto was quick to answer, not wanting them anywhere near it. I don't know, Dad keeps a lot from me, Naruto says, watching the commander's eyes widen. What? What do you mean he keeps a lot from you? As in secrets, he doesn't trust me with important information, Naruto says, seeing confused and curious faces all locked on him. But why? Iwamoto asked himself, standing up, scratching his chin. We need to get a move on. Konoha Umbu are probably on our trail and we need to get the kid back to IWA. The seal master back home will be able to figure it out. Could it be a tracking seal? The IWA shinobi holding Naruto down asked. No way, it's too big and complex to be a seal like that, said the one Iwamoto refers to as Atsushi. Iwamoto nods his head in agreement, turning back to look at him before barking out new orders. Everyone take 5, then we're back on the road. If we take the minimum 4 hours rest, we should be back in IWA before anything hopefully goes wrong. Shirai, you are to keep your eyes on the brat the whole way there. If anything is to go wrong, remember, get the bar to the Tsuchikage even if we all die trying, Iwamoto says, looking down at the S.